I would like to talk about the sexual energy. All of us in FLE class in high school are taught what intercourse is, penis and a vagina, how not to get pregnant through precautions, and what an STD is. But none of us are taught the maturity required for such intimacy and what is true intimacy. So basically in FLE, we're seeing the mechanics of animal and animal. Basically, you might as well just kind of learn from watching a documentary on how rabbits procreate or horses or baboons or something like that. We don't really discuss the intimacy of that. So when there's intimacy, there's always maturity required. So the very fact, like, we're all kind of, in these sort of, sexual interlocks with all these people, and it just feels quite, just emotionally messy, we could say that, okay, is because we don't have the maturity. We don't really understand that with intimacy requires maturity, because we are sharing, caring, and including ourselves in the wholeness when we are basically in sexual intercourse with another human being. So what that means is that, in high school we don't talk about this, but a lot of us are experiencing out there through our emotional sort of interlock. It's called, we have a psyche, I like to say, I guess we could say psyche interlock with another person, okay? So what does that mean? I love it when Guru Jogit says that basically when you're having sex with someone, you're downloading their iCloud. That's kind of what psyche interlock is. We're not taught this in high school, okay? So, but if we actually kind of put that perspective into our sort of idea of sex, we would probably be a lot more discerning about intimacy, okay? But right now we sort of just view it solely just animal, okay? I'm hungry, I'm feeling the fire, I need to kind of release that. But we're starting to discover that when your pituitary gland is secreting, a lot of times it gives that sensation of what we call being horny. Okay, either you're a man or a woman. So even throughout the day, you could say in the early morning from like 3 to 6, your pituitary gland is probably going to be, stimulated, it's going to be activated, you're going to have some sort of secretion. Or even at the end of the day, okay, when the sun's at this like 60-degree angle, we could even say what we call like from 4 to 6 p.m. you can have this sort of pituitary secretion. So Yogi Bhajan said always at these time periods that I've mentioned, we do like a sadhana, which is like a yogic set where we're energizing the system. Because a lot of times you notice people go to the bar, what they call it happy hour, is because they need to get some sort of they need to move energy around. So when the sun is at that 60-degree angle, that's when we need to really move energy around. We need to recalibrate ourselves. So a lot of us get that sort of sense of recalibration through, drinking or eating a lot or smoking or sex, okay, at these particular times, because we just all feel it in our psyche, in our caliber, that we need to kind of chiropract ourselves energetically, okay? Chiropract our nervous system, chiropract our sexual energy, chiropract our emotional body, chiropract, we could say our pituitary gland. So with the sexual energy, I wanted to mention that because a lot of us, we are thinking from that animal, very primal, instinctual kind of like, I'm feeling a flame, I need to go hump, okay? But we do these humping. I'm going to kind of tell you kind of what happens to a person's, I like to say their magnetic field. Okay, so we all have a magnetic field, and with Yogi Bhajan, that's what he's looking at. Okay, so it's not like, it's looking at basically your magnetic field. Call it like a biofield, your aura, and that is basically what prevails, okay, over you. So if you have what Shaman Dirk would say, like kind of tears or holes or weak spots in your auric field or your magnetic field, it will show. Or if you even have interlocks, if you even have just kind of icky, sticky things in it, it is going to be felt. You know, when we're around certain people and we just kind of, there's something a little bit, no, or when we are around certain people and we just feel like more free, or we feel more balanced, or we feel just like lighter, it's that magnetic field, it's that biofield. So when we are in our biofield, when we're creating more like light within it, okay, it's like literally a physical light, that's when we start to feel like more joyful. We start to just feel like kind of, we call it just more radiant within ourselves, okay? And a lot of times we do like Kundalini yoga, like I said, during these times, to the secretion of the glands does have a tremendous effect on the radiance, okay? But what we can say, kind of getting back to intimacy, okay, when we talk about and what happens when we just kind of participate solely in the animal, you know, I'm hungry, I need to go out there, kind of, you know, find, you know, whatever sort of scent or pheromone I'm gonna feel that's gonna get me, you know, the ejaculation. What happens is we begin to dull the ecstasy of intimacy. It's almost like when you begin to degrade intimacy, okay, such as human interaction, which isn't intercourse, okay, it's friendship in the foundation. When you begin to degrade it into just kind of like you know, just like an animal thing, what happens with intimacy, and you'll see this in man and woman, even in their 30s, their 40s, you know, you're going to see they're going to have difficulties when it comes to intimacy on other levels, such as emotional, such as psychological, such as, you know, even communication, okay? Because when we degrade sexual energy, we've always, I said this before, is the closest connection we have with another human being. So when we degrade that, when we kind of, you know, just like immaturely just like throw that around and say things in disrespect or dishonor people, basically what we're doing is we're creating a disrespectful and dishonoring intimacy with ourself and with other people. So that will kind of bleed into like emotional, we'll be kind of like apathetic towards ourselves and towards other people. You know, we talk about people being selfish or inconsiderate. We, you know, will be kind of, we'll call our perspective, our mental body. You know, we won't really have much higher understanding. We won't be very collaborative and perspective, that, you know, creative problem solving. We won't really have that, because the basic foundation, and a lot of us, you know, we're kind of sharing our sexual energy freely with whoever we meet and not recognizing that it always creates a sense of degrade of intimacy with that other person when we haven't fully developed our, like we could say, the true foundation of intimacy with a person, which isn't just, you know, quick hot sex and then, you know, call you later kind of thing. It is through friendship, okay? And through friendship, that's when we begin to really unlock the many layers and the many, you know, dimensions, the many aspects of a human being, and that's what gives ecstasy. Because the animal kind of, you know, rabbit fucking only goes so far. You know, I would love to kind of survey people and kind of see like, okay, like how long do you do the animal thing until you get bored and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, is it like a month? You know what I'm kind of thing? So the thing is, with sharing our sexual energy, it's our creative reality. So if we're sharing it where somebody disrespects it, dishonors it, kind of, you know, like, you know, that kind of thing, what happens is we begin to really close ourselves off. And that's why we're all sexually kind of like, you know, our creative reality is just very like, you know, we're very, you know, kind of just, we don't feel safe. we don't feel safe. We don't feel safe to actually truly share that creative reality with another human being because we have a lot of disrespect and dishonor on this planet. Okay? So we have women, or we, have that creative reality that is, we call it, of a sharing of it freely, but with no sense of worth, because our creative reality is our gem. Like that perineum is I like to say, the gem of ourself. It's where our pure being is. It's that point when we sit down in lotus pose or just sit cross-legged. It's the point that touches Mother Earth. It's sacred. Just like when you bow your head to Mother Earth, you kind of say, in Japji, you bow down. Basically, you're creating such reverence in your arc line. So whatever kind of is like touching Mother Earth, even the bottom of the feet, there's great reverence on the bottom of the feet, the soles of the feet. The perineum, which is like, if you're a woman, it's the point between the rectum and the vagina. So between that when you sit down, it's connected. It's tapped in. So that's our reverence. You know what I'm saying? So creative reality is reverence. Just like when we're bowing in Japji, we're really magnetizing reverence in our arc line. And reverence is also associated with dignity, royalty, as well as high worth. So a lot of times we're kind of just like freely giving our sort of creative reality around with no sense of discernment to how this should be respected and should be honored. Just like when you go into a temple of any sort, even like a synagogue, or you're not going to go in there and just kind of be, just like arguing. You're not going to go in there and just, be negative or be saying things that are just kind of degrading of the self-worth. You're not going to do that. But sometimes that's what we're doing with people. We are sharing our creative reality, and then people are kind of like, sort of, their negativity kind of thing. But when we are wanting to experience true intimacy, okay, and I have noticed people that do have intimacy problems because of like just too much sex with just too many people kind of thing. I can see it on their aura. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to like be emotionally like kind of understanding. They don't know how to be like mentally sort of collaborative with another person, and it's a lot of times it's because of that sexual energy. So when we degrade the sexual energy, okay, kind of like the perineum, the entryway to our sacred temple, when we degrade that in any sort of way, or even within a person, if we treat somebody else like, I'm just like sex, this is just sex, like no strings attached, like I don't love you, I just kind of like want to, let's just get drunk, get the hots on kind of thing. When you treat it like that, basically you are treating yourself as well as other people, intimacy, as something that has no value, that just has no value. But when we come from that place, ecstasy will be very difficult to experience in true, what we call sex with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So ecstasy for a lot of people is like, just like, ejaculated real quick kind of thing. And then it's like, that wasn't really fulfilling, kind of thing. Like, that didn't feel creative. And that's kind of what sexual energy is. It's creative. It doesn't have to be intercourse. It could just be like just breathing together. It could be even just talking together. It could be just kind of, sharing ideas together. There's so many like expressions of that. The whole, we could say the vagina and the penis just simply is the house of the creative reality. So when we talk about kind of the Kundalini rising sort of practice or tradition, we talk about that, rising up that sexual energy, because we're wanting to basically express that that creative reality through many, many, many dimensions, not just animal sex. We want to experience an emotional capacity to forgive and to accept and to have compassion. And the throw, which is about being musical, being talented, expressing yourself through art or through chanting. We want to experience in that, that pituitary as like a creativity through, being a genius or a scientist or a mathematician or, an engineer or, a writer or philosopher, those kinds of things. Or can even be even higher. We talk about through spirituality, through esoteric teachings, these kinds of things. So when we think of like the house of creative reality is that womb, we call it Hara. So Hara is also the second brain. It's associated, with really kind of fueling our lives, fueling ourselves, okay? Like really getting ourselves fuel. So that's why we talk about moving it up into these other layers or chambers of our being, because when we have energy in the heart, energy in the throat, energy in the, the pituitary gland, those areas tend to have more activation, more insight, more capacity, more, like I said, energy to forgive, energy to express yourself, energy to be an engineer or a medium, these kinds of things. So, but when we degrade that basic instinctual temple, it's like there's nothing to really build upon, okay? It's like, because then that trickles up into like, okay, emotions, like, I don't, expressing yourself through music, pituitary insight, or, being visionary, engineer, intelligent, kind of thing. We disrespect ourselves in the totality when we disrespect, we call our sexual energy. Okay, so I wanted to share that because, like I said, when it comes to that auric field, I can see it in a lot of people's auric field, okay, where they don't see themselves of value and they don't see other people as of value because they somehow viewed their creative reality, which is like the hara, okay, it's like kind of the navel, it's that womb, if you're a woman, that reproductive system, if you're a man, we somehow treated that hara as just like, oh, this ain't a temple, I'm just gonna like, just like treat it like crap kind of thing. And then what happens is, you could see in that auric field, is they don't really treat their creative reality with care, And when we don't treat our creative reality with care, with affection, with discernment, with love, with, you are worthy kind of thing, basically, we're probably more destructive than creative because you're one or the other. So I'm just going to leave you guys with these thoughts.